Joining us now is Andreas Krieg. He's an associate professor at King's College London's School of Security Studies. He's also chief executive of the political risk firm MENA Analytical. He's joining us from London. Good to have you with us on Al Jazeera. One of the immediate assumptions that people might make is that this is a very similar sounding declaration, if you like, to that of Article 5 at the NATO treaty. Can you just describe to us what the difference might be?
Yes, good afternoon. I mean, there is a stark difference. We have to bear in mind that this has come about in the matter of weeks. So usually a NATO treaty or any other sort of treaty commitment that the United States would make to any other ally, and it hasn't made any such treaty security commitment to any other ally since probably the 1960s in Korea and in Japan. That would obviously take months, if not years, and it would require a Senate and a congressional approval. And obviously an executive order is as good as it gets within the matter of weeks, because it only requires the executive, in this case, the Trump White House, to approve it. So it's fall short of being an Article 5 sort of NATO commitment. It's not a mutual defense pact or treaty, so it's much softer in that respect. But nonetheless, the wording is very significant, and I think it is significant, particularly within the context of what has happened over the last couple of weeks in the Gulf, where a lot of Gulf states have started to, and still continue to, question the US security commitment, defense commitment to this part of the world. And I think it's quite a clear message now that the United States is trying to do as quickly as they can, doing what they can in order to give new security commitments and assurances. And it's certainly unprecedented for the Arab world. It's unprecedented for the Gulf in particular, where Qatar already is a major non-NATO ally. But it's a very clear commitment that, you know, the interests of Qatar and the interests of the United States are now interwoven. And it's also an affirmation of how important Qatar has been for United States foreign and security policy in the region.
Yeah, we've just been looking at some pictures, as you've been talking to us, Andreas, of the phone call that Benjamin Netanyahu made to Qatar's emir to apologize for the attack by the Israeli military in Doha. Qatar, as we're talking about, has come under fire from Israel, and a lot of this is being linked to that. We shouldn't forget, of course, previously, Iran fired missiles over Qatar in order to try to ostensibly hit that US military base, Al Udeid. Talk to us about the timing of this. Why are we seeing this so quickly after the Israeli attack, rather than perhaps after the previous attack?
I think what we've seen here is quite a lot of soft power being used by Qatar in the direct aftermath of that Israeli strike on Qatar. The way that they've been able to build consensus in the Arab and Muslim world, the way that they've been able to mobilize the international community beyond the Arab and Islamic world, including allies and partners in Europe and elsewhere, and particularly with the White House as well. Qatar has used its leverage to say, we want more than just a commitment. We don't just want to buy more security equipment and more weapons. We want a very, very firm commitment, as firm as it gets within the short time frame. And the US has now delivered as best as it can at this point in time. Obviously, what does it mean? I mean, Iran already is kind of deterred. The United States have kind of said in the past as well that they would retaliate against Iran, and they probably would have retaliated against that strike on Qatar in June if it hadn't been for Qatar trying to seek a way out and mediate a way out of this war. But when it comes to Israel, I think the message is quite clear that Israel and Qatar are both US allies, and the US will stand firmly with the security of both of them. And I think it's a fairly clear message to Netanyahu that there are red lines, and these red lines are being enforced. The question is, will it do enough for countries like the UAE, like Saudi Arabia? We shouldn't forget that obviously Saudi Arabia for quite some time have been negotiating with the US to get a firmer security commitment as a part of a bargain to normalize with Israel. That was before the 7th of October. And it was a very long bargaining process, and the US was not willing to give, or unable to give, the Saudis any firmer of a commitment. So the fact that Trump has been able to do it within 3 weeks or so is quite telling.
Andreas Krieg, we appreciate you giving us that breakdown of the situation. Thank you very much indeed for being with us on Al Jazeera.